Springboard Roadshow Foundation. Legacy and legacy. Be inspired. Be motivated. Be challenged.
And the spirit of life calling.
It is a privilege to be on this year's Springboard Roadshow. I have been associated with Springboard for a long time. It's particularly pleasing for me because I'm a homeboy. This is my home region. The clapping suggests that I don't look like somebody from this region. I've been confronted a number of times. Where do you come from? I say I come from Nandom. So you don't look like someone from the north. So I ask, maybe somebody here can give me that answer. How do the people from the north look like? Why, we have horns? Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad to be here because for me it is very, very important taking the slogan for Springboard, raising the next generation of African leaders and executives. That's what Springboard is for. Now, that is a recognition that there is vacuum in the world, especially in Africa, and that the next generation of African leaders and executives are the people seated here. Now, Springboard has chosen the theme for this year as Going Global. And today, we'll be dealing with a particular theme, thinking beyond your immediate environment. Now, environment in this context would only mean your setting or surrounding. So we're dealing with the theme, thinking beyond your setting or surrounding. But I like to take it one step further. I will speak to you particularly on the topic, grasping beyond your reach. Okay? The key words I'd want us to identify would be grasp and your reach. Let's do an exercise. Everybody stretch. Stretch your arm. To the left, to the right. Okay? Now you can grasp what is within your reach, right? Touch the person next to you. And the guys, be careful. If there's a lady by you, I say, be careful. Okay? Now, you are supposed to grasp what is beyond your reach. So that, how many people can grasp me where I stand? Okay. So, you are supposed to grasp what is beyond your reach. That is what we are talking about today. Now, I chose this topic based on the line in a poem by Robert Browning. He's a British poet and playwright. In his poem entitled Andrea del Sarto, that is the faultless painter, the poet, writing about an artist who, quote, lacked ambition and that divine fire of ambition of the contemporary artists of the time, said in line 97 of that poem, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven's for? The line says, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's the heavens for? Now that's an exhortation to each one of us that we should reach beyond our grasp. So don't think about the person sitting next to you. Think about what is beyond that person. And that's the exhortation we'll deal with today. Now, as a general principle, as I've indicated to you, that which is within your reach, you can grasp. So that shouldn't be a problem. If the book is by you and you can pick it, it's not a problem. You don't have to, unless you're lazy, you don't have to call someone to help you grasp that thing. Now, if you do not aspire to grasp that which is beyond your reach, then you have no higher goals. If all you are comfortable with is your environment, then you have no goals. If all you are comfortable with is the things around you, or all you are comfortable with are the things around you, then, lady, gentleman, you have no higher goal. Now, what the poem exhorts us to do is to challenge us not to maintain the status quo. Now, if you want to maintain the status quo, you come from a family. I'll use my family as an example. My father, security man. My mother, trader. If I did not aspire to a greater goal, I probably, back then my father would be called a watchman. So I'll aspire to be a security man because I'll be wearing uniform. Okay. Now, in this world, it is perfectly legitimate for some people to tell you that it is not right to aspire beyond your reach. In fact, Britain's Prince Charles is reported in an article in the Telegraph of 2004 to have said that it was wrong to encourage people to think they could rise above their station in life. For him, that people should be encouraged to keep to their station in life. Well, I agree. Prince Charles is up high the ladder. For him, what is his station in life is up in the sky. So he doesn't have to aspire to any higher goal. Possibly the highest goal he can aspire is to be the King of England. But that aspiration is dependent on his mother's lifetime. If his mother passes, then he can be king. Or if his mother decides to abdicate the throne, then he can be king. So it makes sense for him to say that the educational system in Britain is teaching people the wrong thing and that they should aspire to remain only within their circumstance. Now, but if your station in life is not like Prince Charles, for me, there is every motivation for you to look beyond your reach. Okay? If your station in life is not Buckingham Palace, it is legitimate for you to aspire, if not to Buckingham Palace, to get closer to Buckingham Palace. Okay. The best example I always use in everything is my example. How many of you know Nima? Okay, I'm sure the Nima you know today is not the Nima you saw or you see now. No. I'm talking about the Nima in 1970s, 1980s. That Nima will not tolerate. In fact, about 3 years ago, I saw a bank open in Nima. The Nima I am talking about will not tolerate a bank. No. Now, that was my environment. That was the environment within which I grew up. The best thing one could do in that environment was to aspire to go abroad and do menial jobs. That's all you could do. Everybody say, I'm going to, in fact, we call it Nyanke, Nyanke. That was the environment in which I grew up. Fortunately, through mentoring, through inspiration from other people, I set higher goals. Okay? Now, I'm supposed to speak to you practically, and that's all we are going to do. How do you grasp beyond your reach? I'll give you 4 key things that, looking back, have kept me focused, and I have read about it. It has worked for people, and I believe it will work for all of us. Now, Colin Powell, the former U.S. Secretary of State, said, there are no secrets to success. And I agree with him. He says, there are no secrets to success. Success is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. I'll paraphrase what he says. For him, success is the result of education, hard work, and discipline. And I'll add a 4th one when I get to it. Now, we live in a global village. And because of this globalization, we have a single market. What you have to do is to find a place in this single global market. And when we talk about thinking global, I'm sure some people will think thinking global means how do I travel to live abroad? No. There is a terminology that has gotten into the lexicon. It is called glocalization. It's a combination of 2 words, global and localization. So what globalization requires you to do is to operate locally but think globally. Okay? Now, I say this to link it to education. We're all in school learning various disciplines. Now, you will be shooting yourself in the foot if you think only of your immediate environment, where you come from, where you're likely to go to after school. Now, we live in a competitive world in which innovation is the main driver towards growth and prosperity. Education is a primary force behind these innovations. Education produces cutting-edge knowledge. It transfers and apply the drive behind these innovations. Now, without the relevant education, you cannot excel in the competitive world. Okay? When you are studying to get your first degree, and you get your first degree, if your first degree is not relevant in the globalized world, you will not be competitive. If you have not prepared yourself through the acquisition of relevant training skills, you will not even recognize the opportunity when you see it. I'll demonstrate it to you simply. Now, you can go into a building. There are a flight of stairs and there's a lift. If you do not know what a lift does, you will not see the opportunity that the lift presents. That is, the lift is supposed to take you to your destination faster than the flight of stairs. So because your education is not relevant, you have not prepared yourself properly for the market, you are bound to get to your destination, hopefully, and even so, you will do so slowly. Now, when I talk about education, it is possible for you to have your degree, but you can also educate yourself. Now, when you go to law school, I can only talk about the law school. When you go to law school, you're trained to be a lawyer. Okay? They give you the rudiments. Now, I can dare say that over possibly 75% of what I do now is through self-education. There's a way you can educate yourself within your spare time. What I do is this. Anytime I am traveling and I'm not driving, I'm not the person driving, I don't sleep. I'll use the time between the two destinations to read something. How many of us read something other than what we study in our spare time? Show of hands. I'm not talking about novels. I'm not talking about cartoons. But how many of us have read all the series written by Albert and Comfort? None. Any particular reason? Albert, is your book prohibited for sale in WA? Is there any particular reason why we haven't? Because I read them. Is there any particular reason why we haven't read them? You see, if you read a book like Against All Odds, what we are discussing today will not be strange to you. Okay? Because it sets for you principles which will tell you how to defy the odds of your circumstance. So the key thing to reach beyond your grasp is to educate. Because when you educate yourself, you place yourself in position to take advantage of the situation that arise. Now, having educated yourself is not only enough. You must be disciplined. One of the questions that was asked was your reaction towards work. If you are waiting to feel like doing something before you do it, you will not get anything done. Now, I'll give you a quote by Alistair Cook. He's a BBC journalist. He says, "A professional is someone who can do his best work when he does not feel like it." Okay. Now, if you want to achieve excellence, if you want to leave your comfort zone, if you want to leave your environment, if you want to reach beyond your environment, then you must do your best when it must be done, but not when you feel like it. Okay? If you don't put in hard work, if you are not disciplined, you will be in your comfort zone and you will not leave your comfort zone. Now, you cannot excel if you do not have discipline. Discipline requires following rules, not rules set up by somebody else, but includes rules set up by you. This morning, I had the opportunity to speak to two gentlemen, and I'll repeat it to you. You see, if you want to be a good communicator, from this moment, stop speaking pidgin English. If you want to be a good communicator, from this moment, stop speaking pidgin English. Your friend greets you, Charlie, how be? Respond, I am fine, thank you. How are you? Okay? I have had to reconstruct sentences because back in secondary school, when we used to raise our colors, we thought it was the proper thing to speak pidgin English. You hear people say, like I said. Okay? That is not proper communication. If you want to be a good communicator, speak good English. In my work, I communicate with judges. In my work, I communicate with people. Now, I earn a living from communication. Can you imagine you come and tell me your problem? I take the matter to court. I become your advocate. I am supposed to speak for you. I do not communicate it in a manner in which the judge will understand your problem. I have taken money from you. Okay? That will be unfair. That will not be right. So, in the things that you aspire to do, you must be disciplined. Set yourself rules. Set yourself goals. Okay? And work at these goals. Now, working at these goals will require perseverance and hard work. Where I was trained for 15 years before I branched out onto my own, the person I worked for had practiced as a lawyer for as long as my lifetime. So if I am 20 years old, he had worked as long as 20 years old. Now, working under him, he would leave the office after 8 p.m. not to go and sleep. He goes to stay up and work. So he gives you an assignment. And then you think, okay, he's giving you an assignment. Send the assignment to him at 1 a.m. He is up and will respond to the email. A story is told of a fresh graduate who was employed as a personal assistant to a billionaire CEO of a multinational company. He wanted to impress his boss. Okay? So work was given to him, like me. He was hoping that his boss will go to sleep, and by 9 a.m., the work will be in his in folder. He stayed up, sent the work at about 1 a.m. 1:05, he got a response from his boss, thanking him. Moral of the story, even the billionaires of this world burn the midnight candle. Even the billionaires. Bill Gates, he doesn't sleep. Margaret Thatcher's success was built on the fact that she sleeps 4 hours a day. I do not recommend it to you. I do not boast that I am successful. I sleep 4 hours a day. There is nobody in this room who can tell me that as a student, if you slept 8 hours of the day, you will make good grades. Nobody will convince me. If you slept for 8 hours and you made an A, if you sleep less, I'm not saying do not sleep. If you sleep less, you would make a grade better than A. So in life, if you want to succeed, it requires perseverance and hard work. Perseverance also includes having a set goal. If you have a set goal and you work at your goal, you can get to that goal. Okay? We all saw what the Black Stars did during the match. They played, they worked hard, but I do not think that they persevered. So, education, discipline, perseverance. Now, above all of this, I'll tell you a story to end on my last point. There is a story which I read. A man had worked tirelessly to get a deal with a major multinational company in America. After years of hard work, perseverance, discipline, the deal was struck. What was left was the contract to be signed. They set the date to sign the agreement, 10th September. If you like, September 10th. I'm sure it rings a bell. Then suddenly the board chairman who was to sign that contract said, you know what? I'm not available on the 10th. Can we sign this agreement on the 12th of September? The reason he set the agreement for the 12th of September was that he had a minor infection, had to see a doctor. One day before the deal was signed was September 11th. And we all know what happened on September 11th. By reason of that, the US government introduced regulations that prevented the deal from going through. The moral of the story, in spite of your best efforts, there are things out of your control. You need God to take control of those things for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am where I am today by the grace of God. You will be where you will be tomorrow by the grace of God. Your best efforts, your best education, your hard work, without God, you will not be where you will be. Therefore, in thinking beyond your environment, in seeking excellence, educate yourself, be disciplined, work hard. Above all else, count on God, and you'll be out of your environment. Thank you.
Night and the